Evil Squid Comics Podcast. We are part of the Collector's Maze Network.
Don.
Scott.
Andrew.
Once upon a time at the end of the world.
If you guys didn't both love this book, favorite shit ever, gonna quit the podcast.
So you like this quite a bit then?
It's not
Don?
my favorite shit ever.
So
I
let's start
really
off.
like
It's not
so
even my
Don,
favorite
you
Jason
really
Aaron.
did
I
like
really
it, right?
liked it.
Okay. Drew,
I thought it was pretty good.
you thought it was pretty good. So let me give a brief thing here.
Are we recording?
Yes.
Yes.
We're live.
Yes, we are live.
We're live.
Once upon a time at the end of the world. It's basically a post-apocalypse, type thing. The land is dead, the world's dead, whatever else. There's a handful of humans, and two people meet each other, and this takes place in kind of three different points in their life. And it's got done by three different artists for those points. Now, depending on which section that you're in, it kind of divided into three sections. Some of those sections may jump, like if you're in the first part where it's focusing more on their younger life, it may jump though to flash forwards to the other 2 points, and then as you get to the other one, it may flash back. But I just wanted to set that up anyway. But in essence, it's a bit of a love story in some aspects. But it reminds me more of like Marriage Story, if you ever watched that, with Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver, in which it's kind of unfortunately in that one, it's kind of the breakdown of a marriage. But you know that these are two people that love each other and that the marriage is just falling apart. In this one, it kind of shows a little bit more of a relationship that builds up and then hits a point and it falls apart.
Sure.
And then some of the crumble that happens in trying to even, I don't want to say rebuild, but at least try to coexist, I think, after the breakup in some aspect.
So real quick.
Go ahead.
So I have a subscription to Jason Aaron's newsletter,
Uh-huh.
and he talked about this book, and he was really hyping it, saying he thinks it's the best thing he's ever written, and he's really excited about it, wanting everybody to buy it. He's like, and I'm one of the people who got a divorce during COVID, So I consider this Jason Aaron's divorce book. Like this is him basically processing his divorce is what I see it as.
And
I think that context is important.
I think it is too. And I was going to even mention that because it's mentioned in the introduction as well.
Okay.
And I did read that introduction and it did already give me a context as I'm going in. And I think, to me personally, it helped my enjoyment of it.
Sure.
Because of the fact that it is a bit of a catharsis, or that's the right way to pronounce it? Cathartic, yeah, type of scenario. Catharsis scenario of him just trying to get out his feelings that were in there. I don't say that the book's perfect by any means. There's some areas in which there's some certain jumps maybe that don't really flow quite as well. Some, I don't know, something in there, that maybe wasn't as well written as it could have been. But I think that brokenness of it adds to a little bit of the charm of what he's through in here. I mean, it's not exactly a happy book, either, but there's a lot of emotion in it.
Well, there's really three distinct stories, and each one has a very different tone.
And let me jump in.
Absolutely.
So when this thing was originally published, it was 3 5-issue series.
Right.
And there was time in between.
Correct.
So you guys had the luxury. It's almost like, hey, I watched Lost in real time.
Yeah.
And I had to wait.
Yeah.
This to see what happened, and you have the luxury of just binging it on Netflix. Right?
Absolutely.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, and that's part of the charm that I went through was reading it in real time and like waiting for stuff to come out. If that
and I
but you don't read
it
anything.
did sort of affect the way that I read it.
You don't read anything.
I read like the 5 and then waited and then read the 5 and then like waited.
So it's like you read it
and
in
I
two trades.
think between like 2 and 3, I think what I remember, it seemed like quite a while before like 2 and 3 came. But
I could understand that, and I could especially see between the time of 3 to making a big influence on there, especially if you did enjoy the previous one.
So there's 3 stories. The first one is kind of the meeting and falling in love, right?
Right.
And the second one is basically being married and falling
the second one
out of love.
Is not so much. The second one is kind of like the honeymoon. I felt like it's
a
lot of that. It starts falling apart there towards the end, and you start seeing the breaks. But it is probably the height of the relationship.
It is, but it's also the falling apart.
It's the cracks, I think, that are starting to happen in there.
Well, then the third one is them coming to terms with the fact that they're not
That they broke
they're
up.
not in
Yes,
love
yes,
anymore, right?
yeah,
Like they've moved on or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
or moving on or whatever. So I really like the first one because everybody likes a love story, right? I really like the last one because it had a lot more action and kind of was more of a kind of a
There's a lot of blood and guts
a lot
over
of blood
there.
and
Yeah.
guts and action and like
And it doesn't help that,
kind
or I
of
mean, it
dark.
helps certainly that what's his name, Nick
Nick Dragotta,
Dragotta
he's a great
is
artist.
Who
yeah,
are
he's
the
a good artist.
three? Is Ariel Olivetti one of them?
No, he just
No,
does some like
Did he do
covers.
covers?
I think he's
Okay.
covers.
yeah, I think Leila Del Duca or something
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
is one of them.
So the middle
And
story is where I had the most issue with the book. All right, so that's where they're in love and they're
yep,
uh,
they're in Shangri-La. Yeah,
Shangri-La. They find
everything's
this little
good.
Shangri-La.
Yes.
It almost felt like it's weird. The book is not really a metaphor, but that part of the book felt almost allegorical. Almost like a metaphor
I feel like the whole thing is a big allegory to a relationship,
to
though.
some degree. But the first and
To
last
some
part
degree?
felt.
No, I think even the first and the last part.
I think the
In
first
fact,
and
the
last
last one,
part
I think even more so.
First and last part felt a little more grounded to me, but
Oh no.
I get
But
what you're
that's just
saying.
my vision of it though.
I,
Because
I
I
guess
think
the middle part like was just weird. Like they really went into this whole like free love, polyamorous, relationships and all that stuff. And I don't know that it needed that. Like I mean, I just felt that was a weird flex or weird thing to
I
have
see.
in there. You know what I mean? Did anybody else feel that way, or is that just me?
I did not feel that way.
It's been a while since I've read it. I mean, I just remember the.
Because I mean,
I think in some ways what was
I
going on there was, a bit of just showing the trust that they did have in each other, in a
I
lot of ways.
guess,
And
and
but
then
it could add to some of the cracks that happen, later though too.
But then the cracks were almost like at some point in that middle story, they're in this like perfect area and everybody's in love and everybody's free love and everybody has, whatever. And everybody feels comfortable in their relationship and all that good stuff. But then there's like this weird like mist that starts coming out of the ground and like possessing people and making people act weird. And it's like, but then they never really explain the mist. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of this thing. And then there's a weird part where like they're influenced by the mist and they like can't see each other, and I feel like that's like a like allegory for like being in love and in a marriage, but yet you kind of can't see you know what I mean? It's like
There's some of
but
that.
prior to that it felt more grounded, and so it takes this weird like ungrounded turn and doesn't really explain it, and it's almost like it felt like it parts were more grounded and parts were more allegory, and it kind of felt weird to me.
Okay. I mean, I can understand that.
But I still really enjoyed it, and I thought it was pretty well done. I liked the art, and I liked the writing. I think everything was good. It's just that middle part
I feel like
I
the
think was a
first
little
part was
forced.
probably more grounded, and I could see where some of that could happen. I feel like though between the second and the third parts, I think it was just of all of it pretty much being a big allegory to
Gotcha.
different things. The first part was the only part to me that was more of a grounded into whatever world and story I think that he wanted to do.
Fair.
But yet it was still showing that early, relationship and the buds of friendship and whatever that was going to
Yeah.
happen. But
Sure.
after that, yes, I do think that almost anything that happens probably has some symbolic nature to it, within a relationship. And I feel like besides, some of these fighting of things, but I'm sure there's probably even bits of that, but I felt like there's a ton of symbolism in that last one,
Sure.
between people that are trying to rebuild their lives and the differences between that, as well
Yeah.
as the entire ending where, you're trying to come together and figure out what can we find any common ground with, and
Sure.
can we
Sure.
rebuild
Yeah.
any type of bridge across the chasm that we've created between each other, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing at
Yeah.
all. In fact, to me, I didn't really say my thoughts too much on the book, but it's a book for me personally I would have a hard time recommending, because I do feel like there is so much symbolism and other aspects that are in there trying to talk at a different level. But I found it very emotional to myself personally, that I really liked it, but I don't know, I'd have a hard time recommending it to somebody. I don't, because I don't know that they'd get the same feel that I would
Gotcha.
either. I felt, because of maybe my history, in some aspects, when I'm reading this, I see some of that and I go, yeah, I totally get that. I totally understand that. And probably I feel a little, I understand where Jason was probably coming from, even, going through his divorce, with what
Yeah.
he's trying to write here. And, it hit pretty good to myself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but I don't know that it would for everybody that way.
Yeah. I don't know. It sounds like Don really liked it. Sounds like you really liked it, kind of hit eventually. I really enjoyed it too. I think there was just, I thought the middle was a little wonky, I guess you could say, but
Yeah.
overall, I thought it was really good. So yeah, I think we all really liked it. I probably liked it the least, but I still thought it was really well done.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Probably his second best thing that he's written.
Well, in
After
Scalped.
after Scout.
Obviously.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Scalped
yeah.
is the greatest thing ever.
If he'd ever finished, what was it, Southern Bastards?
Southern
maybe that one
Bastards would
might
probably
be.
be.
He did some Star
might
Wars
be
though, and that was
Scout.
pretty
I
solid
really
too.
like the other side
So-
too, though.
I didn't like the other side.
Well, one last thing though, we were talking a little bit about what was it, Supergirl in the World of Tomorrow or something, I don't know, with Tom King.
Yeah.
That whole thing had all this, narration and crap that was going
Yeah.
on from some. There's a lot of that going on in this one, but it works so much better
Oh, so
because
much
in a
better.
lot of ways you need to know what each of them are thinking,
Yeah.
but he does it, with a good voice, I feel
Yeah.
like, and it's not taking up half of a damn page, and it's not trying to be crazy eloquent or whatever.
Correct.
It really works in this book to keep it flowing.
Yeah.
So I guess I just want to put that out there because I'm not necessarily against narration. It just has to be done, well.
Yeah. Well, Brubaker has all sorts of narration in his
Well,
books, and it
that's true,
just
too.
fucking flows and sounds
Yeah,
great.
exactly,
So it's
yeah.
not. I'm not against words, Don. I just don't like bad ones.
I don't know about that. I think you
I
like
love
I
words.
think you don't like too many of them.
I
all
like
at once.
words are fine as
I
long as
do.
they're
I
good.
might be into that camp though. If I don't want too many words at once, I need them to be,
It is a
reason-
comic book, so
All
it
right,
should
so
be
what
like
I'm gonna
words
do,
and art.
the next book that you buy, I'm gonna get it before you come get it, and I'm gonna white out all of the words, and I'm gonna let you
That's a
read the book
solution.
and see if it makes sense. If you can.
Okay, are we done?
Cool. Yeah.